I like space, the final frontier, not time, the final frontier. Thank you very much. But that's just me. Maybe different. Like I always say, your mileage may vary. This is Prodigy, episodes 3 and 4, Who Saves the Saviors, and Temporal Mechanics 101. You remember the episode, Who Watches the Watchers? Now we're finding out who saves the saviors. We're going all the way back to the beginning of Prodigy. Whoops, back to before the beginning of Prodigy. Back to what felt like a mysterious lost Season 8 Voyager episode. And I was pretty tickled. I was pretty engaged. I was having fun, but it wasn't all good, and it got a little bit worse as it went on. Let's see what's going on in our latest adventures in Season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy. We're picking up where we left off with the Infinity, that ugly ship built to withstand fluctuations in time, changes in time, timey-wimey stuff when going through this wormhole to future Solum to ostensibly save future Chakotay, which is actually past Chakotay, who belongs in our time. You'll notice that a lot of this episode involves changing the future to change the past. And it works because of wormhole shenanigans. Pretty interesting. Normally, we change the past to fix the future. Now we're changing the future to change the past. Doesn't sound possible, but it is. Watch the episode or read up on Temporal Mechanics 101. The Infinity crash lands into future Solum. The bad future. The place where the Protostar originally came from, before Prodigy started. We're going way back to the beginning, like I said. What are we going to do? Well, we're not allowed to be here. According to Starfleet, we're breaking various temporal rules. So what does that mean? Well, we have a Vulcan character. How do we time travel with a Vulcan? Well, for starters, we got to wrap a thing around her head. We got to use a hat or a towel. This time we went with the head wrap on maj'el, our Vulcan character. Good idea. We always got to hide those ears. It wouldn't be Star Trek unless we were hiding the ears while time traveling with Vulcans, right? We need to make absolutely sure that the U.S.S. Protostar launches. Why? I guess we're in the same timeline idea. Normally when we time travel and change the past, we create alternate timelines. But this time, and I wish Temporal Mechanics 101 helped me on this, what causes something to be one timeline versus timeline splitting? We're going with one timeline idea. That's what I do if I was time traveling. I wouldn't try to change anything. So that Protostar has to get off the ground. That bird has to fly the coop. Wink, wink. You'll see why that's funny in a moment. But we're caught. Good job not getting caught, guys. We got caught by the Valnacat. The bad future Valnacat. And we have everything stolen from us. That would be Jankom's mitt, his robotic glove, our phasers, tricorders, what have you. Oops, they're all gone now. And we're put in a stasis field style prison, where we're also keeping Chakotay and his first officer, Adric, that bird character, the flightless Aurelian, who I absolutely need a statue of on my desk. He's another one of those super mega cool characters just visually that I need to have. I gotta get Borg, Jack Crusher, I gotta get Adric. Dang, how much is this gonna cost me? But they gotta get on my desk. Check out Adric. And you hear his voice, he sounds smoky. Oh my god, he sounds like he might be Kentucky Fried. That joke never appeared in the episode. We did not talk about cooking him because he is a bird. He is our friend. He is friend, not food, okay? He is people. He is Adric. And he's my new favorite character in Prodigy without any kind of evidence given that would prove otherwise. He's just there. He's cool. Awesome. What's he capable of doing? How fast can he run? He's got those retrograde legs. Man, that's so cool. Way cooler than Miglimo in Lower Decks, if I do say so myself. But they're two very different shows. That's an apples to oranges comparison. We quickly realize that we're in a causal loop. What that means is that it doesn't look like Chakotay and Adric are going to be able to launch that Protostar without our help. That means we saved ourselves. We know now why it was necessary to not go into the wormhole, before Chakotay launched the Protostar. He has to launch the Protostar uninterrupted, unmanned, so it can get to Taras Lamora, so it can find our heroes, and they can use it to escape Taras Lamora, so they can be here to begin with. If we interrupt that, bam, our one timeline idea ruined forever. Now that we're there, it sure seems that they can't do it without our help. So they do pay lip service to Bell Riot's Cochrane warp test. That's a known thing now that was a time causal loop in the movie First Contact. Go watch it. So yeah, we have to actually help Chakotay and Adric escape. Uh-oh. Interesting to know that we're saving ourselves. We're bringing the Protostar to our timeline so that we can escape, so we can be here to get the Protostar to leave Solum. Fascinating. But how are we going to get out of this force field? Well, remember how they stole Jankom's mitt? That's right. It's time. It's time for what's that little hand guy on that TV show that used to be on TV? You know what was it? The Addams Family? There was a character that was a hand. We're doing that stuff. We're remotely controlling the hand. Adric, thankfully, has snuck a communicator or something, some kind of device, a pad, in with him into this enclosure. And Jankom is able to modify it to remotely control the mitt, the robotic glove that they stole from him. Lucky thing. He uses that to turn off the force field, get the glove back, and then wreak mayhem on these robots, taking them apart, as an engineer would do. Just flashbacks to episode 1. A lot of dealing with these like Valnacath style robots being trapped. It's calling to mind episode 1, but we're before episode 1. Like I said, we're back into Voyager season 8, if you will. And I couldn't help but smile when Chakotay and Adric introduced themselves. I'm Chakotay, captain of the U.S.S. Protostar, and this is my first officer, Adric. And it's this rousing music, and I was just, here we go. Here we go. This is it. We're here. It's fresh. It's new. It's happening. It's popping. But we've also got the old stuff. And the Voyager A, it's ugly, but it looks canon. That's a lot to ask right now, but we're getting it. Isn't this awesome? Isn't this good? Why don't people love this? Why isn't this the top show right now for Star Trek? It's awesome. It's not perfect, by no means. And you'll see why in a moment. We do escape from our imprisonment, and we have a little discussion with Chakotay and the like. Whoa, what's Starfleet? I have no idea. What's a tricorder? I don't know. And Chakotay says, we could use heroes like you in Starfleet to Dal. And he's saying that to the audience. Oh, thank you, Chakotay. Thank you. Yeah, we could use heroes like Dal in Starfleet, although Dal caused this whole problem. His only saving grace here is that it needed to happen. We needed to do this in order to get the Protostar to leave Solum, but it was an accident, and he never should have done it. But would he have saved Chakotay otherwise? It remains to be seen. Dal got out of this whole mess by the skin of his teeth, by a hair. Okay, he is on such shaky ground, in my opinion, with Starfleet. I can excuse stealing the Protostar to escape slavery, which is what they did in season 1. Whatever, okay, whatever. It worked out, it's fine. But launching the Infinity against explicit orders not to do so, to go into a dangerous wormhole, to potentially destroy a timeline, and then getting away with it just barely because of some timey-wimey shenanigans where it turned out it was a causal loop and they needed to be there anyway. You are pushing it, young man. Dal, you are pushing it. That is so close to just being ejected from Starfleet before you're even really in it. Imagine. Ugh, man, this is getting close. Like I said, when I watched the first 2 episodes of this season, Dal has disappointed me a little bit. I expected a little bit more from Dal, although he does act like a captain here. But it is his mess to clean up. So there's food for your thought. It looks like Chakotay and Adric are going to get to the protostar. Binoculars. That's fine. This is supposed to happen. Whoops. There's something wrong here. Who left that phaser on the ground? They were trying to distract these Valnacat. Look how distracting I am. And they did, or the Valnacat did, inadvertently leave a phaser rifle on the ground, meaning that Chakotay saw it, took the opportunity to start shooting with it, cover fire, to protect their return to the protostar, which they were never supposed to get back to. They were supposed to launch the protostar unmanned, on autopilot, and then the instability, we'll say, of the time transplacing wormhole was supposed to kind of inadvertently lead the protostar to Taras Lamora. Now, with Chakotay on board, is that going to happen? Uh-oh. There goes the protostar. I guess we're done. They climb back into the Infinity. My assumption being that being in the Infinity would protect you from these timeline changes because of the temporal shielding. I guess I was right. They're back in the ship. They're standing there. Why are we not gone? There is a message from a mysterious benefactor, read out in text on the control panel of the Infinity. Save Gwyn. Here's coordinates. Is this message coming from Voyager? No. So your guess is as good as mine for who this mysterious character is, who has, I don't know, pre-programmed this dialogue into the Infinity? Is communicating with the Infinity from somewhere else? I don't know. My guess is it's Chakotay. You may have already seen all these episodes. I would ask you not to spoil them. I'm watching them as I go. I'm trying to make this as normal as possible. It's hard, but I'm trying. I think that could be an alternate future Chakotay who has gone back in time and pre-programmed that message somehow into the Infinity so that it would do what it needed to do, which we're going to get to in a moment. After we've gone through who saves the saviors, we know who saves the saviors. It's Zero, maj'el, Jankom, and Dal. I think I got all of them. Man, it's getting hard to remember these huge cast of characters in this and in Lower Decks. It's getting rough. It's getting hard on my brain. But as if time travel wasn't hard enough already. We do indeed get Temporal Mechanics 101 going, right? Can you please send us everything you have on Temporal Mechanics 101, please? I need to read it now. I should have read it before, but we're reading it now because just by chance we managed to get through to the Voyager A on the other side of that nasty wormhole. Thank you, Voyager. And they do send us everything we need to see on Temporal Mechanics 101. I was so excited. I was over the moon to see this. Here we go. We're going to watch a Starfleet training video on time travel. Awesome. They're going to answer all my questions. It looks cool. It sounds cool. It uses a diagram of the Bounty, that Klingon ship, doing that Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home slingshot around the sun. And then, which was also in Picard Season 2. They also use an image of the Constitution-class Enterprise. Constitution-class, as it's supposed to look. What Constitution-class Enterprise, as it was intended to look in TOS, shows up in Picard Season 3. It shows up in Prodigy. What were y'all seeing in Strange New Worlds? What was we seeing? What did Picard see way back in Season 1 of Star Trek Picard when he looked up? He goes to Starfleet and looks up and there's a hologram of the Strange New Worlds Enterprise. Was he just imagining things? Oh yeah, alternate timelines and stuff. I forgot timey-wimey stuff. Forgive me, I forgot timey-wimey. This video, it just shows dominoes falling over. And if a domino is missing, the future doesn't happen. So we got to make sure the big events still happen. They put the domino back in. And essentially, this is how it explains time travel. A series of dominoes. Great. I want to know, and you do see Dal admittedly skipping through this. So maybe it actually did provide the information on this and we just didn't see it. But my number one question would be, if I was in temporal mechanics, some kind of class at Starfleet, I'd be asking, what causes the divergence between single timelines and multiple timelines? Can you just tell me that? How do I know when changing something in my own past changes my timeline, or just makes it so I go back to my own timeline when I go back to the future, and it's a different timeline now. How do I know the difference? And given that, why would I not just take the safe route and not change anything? I don't really get this. It seems like we have multiple timelines here, and then it seems like also we're gonna kill Gwyn if we don't get the Protostar back at Taras Lamora correctly. A theory for upcoming episodes is that we actually need to go back to our time, find Chakotay on the Protostar, and convince him to put the Protostar on Taras Lamora so that they can find it. That's going to be hard. But that's just one theory. A Star Trek theory. In my Star Trek YouTube channel. So I can't remember exactly when we passed through Who Saves the Saviors, but I'm pretty sure we're in Temporal Mechanics 101 now. That would be episode 4. We need to turn the Infinity into a time machine. Jankom, what if I told you this bird doesn't have to fly? And I ain't talking about a Dreek. I'm talking about this ship. It needs to be a time machine. According to Voyager, and according to stuff we referenced from TNG, we can use the power of that wormhole combined with the temporal shielding of our ship, and if we invert its warp bubble, we can actually go forward and back in time. Or in this case, back in time. And these coordinates that our mysterious benefactor gave us, if we follow those coordinates, take the ship there, go back in time, something good might happen? And it did. You see, back in our time on Solum, you see Gwyn ain't having a very good time of it. It's very hard to convince these Valnakat that there's a good future and not a bad one, especially when they've been poisoned against Gwyn after having been exposed to Asencia for so long. Good job, Starfleet. You kind of let it go haywire there. This seems like a little bit of a losing scenario. This almost seems like one of those give-up scenarios. If I believed in those. But I don't believe in no-win scenarios, of course. But if there's ever going to be a no-win scenario, this is one of them. Not being able to win over Solum. That it looks very difficult right now. So Gwyn is trying to compete in the Valura. You know, an alien mysterious ritual. Not unlike what Spock went through way back in the day. If there's anything I know about non-human civilizations, is that they got some strange rituals. And in this Valura, I guess it's some kind of combat trial, without their original heirlooms, their golden weapon things, between Asencia, and Asencia is not fighting Ilthuran. I can never pronounce this right. Gwyn's father. She's not fighting Gwyn's father. She's fighting Gwyn. And they're going down, deep down, underground, down in a hole, down there, way down below. There's writings everywhere, very ancient, filled with golden heirlooms, that kind of programmable matter that they can control. And I guess it's specific to them. And is this where it comes from? I had some original ideas about what was going on here. That this heirloom technology was some kind of alien thing, some kind of symbiotic life form that lived inside their planet, but it's not really expanded upon. But it's what I was thinking. It's not really important, by the way. So they're fighting, and they fight, and they fight some more. And I don't know. As I get older, fight scenes I just kind of tune out. I don't know. I guess it's kind of cool. They're throwing these heirlooms at each other, and then they stop it in midair because they can control it with their minds. Stop it and then reform it and turn it back into another projectile. It makes sense, it's logical, and it follows with the rules set out so far for the Valnakat in this universe, yes. But it gets boring, and they do try to climb out. So you're taking the heirloom and creating like a little spike to stick in the wall. Bang, bang, I'm getting out of here. Goodbye, Asencia. You can stay down here. I'm winning this Valura. Not, because allegedly, apparently, it would seem that the Protostar did not make it back to Taras Lamora. So we've hurt Gwyn's timeline, and now Gwyn is fading out of existence and not being able to grab these wall spikes. That's very bad, because it means, number one, Gwyn might disappear, and number two, she's definitely failing the Valura. So I think this could be a lost cause. I think this has really and truly become a no-win scenario. She falls all the way to the bottom, doesn't die, but goes into a state of quantum superposition. where she exists in all time and no time specifically, meaning she's just kind of like a time ghost. Whoops, good job, Dow. Or was this always supposed to happen? Makes you think. Really gets the noggin jogging, right? As does all timey-wimey nonsense that I'm a little bit tired of. That's just me. I know some people love this. I like space, the final frontier, not time, the finaler frontier. Thank you very much. But that's just me. You may be different. Like I always say, your mileage may vary. The Infinity time travels back to Solum, right where Gwyn was in our timeline. Those coordinates led back to where the trial of the Valura was taking place. Whoever programmed this into the Infinity knew where this was going to be. So where they already at? Solum? Chakotay was technically already at Solum. And Murf, as we've seen, was discussing something, either one way or two way. I don't know how you can understand what Murf's saying. In an off-screen scenario, with you can see a reflection in Murf's eye of what looked like a humanoid figure. Maybe it was Future Man, but probably not. Murf is either the mysterious benefactor or Murf was talking to the mysterious benefactor. Go back and watch, what is it, the beginning of episode 4 or the very end? Murf, wait a minute, where's Murf? What are you doing? Murf was in some, I don't know, a stellar cartography, some kind of holographic room, talking to somebody. Your guess is as good as mine. Who is it? I don't know. I'll find out, and I'll tell you when I do find out. Or you already know, because you've already seen every episode, because you guys get to just chug the whole thing, and I don't. Thanks a lot. They do appear in the Valura tunnel, and we just get a repeat, essentially, of Season 1's moment, where I believe it was A Moral Star Part 2, I think, where Gwyn just gets mind blasted by a Medusan, because that Medusan is Zero, and it's an accident, and she looks, I believe, at a badge, and the light reflects off it and fries her brain. And we have a moment where Dal saves Gwyn again, because Gwyn is in some kind of medical or other emergency, like she was then, she is now, and we're just repeating it. We're just going to pull at the same heartstring twice. Maybe that'll work. Didn't really work for me when we did it twice. And our mysterious benefactor flies the ship, opens the door, and lets us all go in. And Gwyn's father sees the whole thing. Oh my god! Aliens are real! They're real! Asencia wasn't lying about those mysterious people from the stars who were bad and we all believed her for no reason. What? By the way, she's my daughter, just trust me. What? And we have spaceships because they did blow up that shuttle. Right? Remember in the first 2 episodes? They blew up that Starfleet shuttle in orbit, I suppose. So they have starships of some sort, but we're not going to do some kind of DNA test? I don't know. I guess aliens are real, though. I know something blew up that Valnacat ship, but I guess aliens are real now, because I saw them get off that spaceship, and they just came back here from a bad future, the one that Asencia said will happen if Starfleet arrives here, which they just did. You can see everything in my mind that's taking place on Solum and between Gwyn and the Valnacat is beginning to stretch my disbelief here a little bit. I don't know. It's just me. People have to act logically. They have to act in ways that are kind of in their own incentive. And I don't know if we're really seeing that here. Again, though, having Gwyn, in my personal opinion, go into some superposition state because of timey-wimey stuff, because of the Protostar not getting to Tars Lamora, and her turning into a time ghost. I don't know. I'm saying no. I'm saying no on that. I don't like to review things based on what I wanted to happen. I like to review based on what did happen. So I'm going to leave it at that. I thought it was a little bit contrived what had happened with Gwyn. We needed a way to save Gwyn. Maybe she can be alive and not alive at the same time. That'll do it. I don't know. It's quantum realities. Who knows? Yes, there's precedent for these things. I know. That doesn't mean I like it. I'll say it again. Just because it happened before doesn't mean it should happen again. Bad things have happened before. We need good things now. And this is a little bit contrived, in my opinion. If I were to come up with something, this is just me, I think it would be cooler if, because whoever typed this message into the infinity, these coordinates, it should also say these coordinates at this time. This person is from the future, would already have foreknowledge about what's going to happen here. Therefore, they take the infinity to the place where the Valorad trial is going on. They go back in time at this exact moment in time. When that happens, Gwyn falls, slips anyway. Because the protostar had escaped, it disconnects Gwyn from her timeline. She starts to phase out of time. She falls. She lands on top of the infinity as it's flying there, just coming back from the future. And when she lands on it, the time shielding, the temporal shielding on the infinity reverses the effect of the timeline shift and makes her normal again. And then the infinity lands on Asencia and crushes her. Yeah. That's what I would have wanted. But that's not what we got. What we got was a repeat, like I said, of Gwyn getting brain blasted by Zero. Just kind of putting Gwyn back in the med bay. We're all standing around her, all crying, but happy to see her with that admittedly rousing and touching Prodigy anthem droning in the background that we all know and love, and I certainly love. So yeah, is it going to work for me a second time? Kinda. But we're doing the same thing again, and I didn't really like that. And we're back home on the Voyager, and just like how the EMH has a mobile emitter... What did I say? Emitter? No, just like how the EMH has a mobile emitter, now Gwyn has a temporal stabilizer. You need a temporal stabilizer / quantum discriminating chronoton temporal stuff. Whatever, yada yada yada. It's just a bunch of technobabble. And this episode is getting... These episodes are getting technobabbly, just like Voyager did. Truly, this series is Voyager's offspring. Or progeny, I should say. Because sometimes technobabble does win the day. Still very good, though. So Murf, on our cliffhanger here, is still talking to Future Man. I'm going to call him. I don't care, I'm just calling him Future Man. And I like to do this thing where I say, what has changed? Where did we end up? What happened? How are the stakes now compared to what they were? Originally, the Infinity was going into this wormhole. We didn't know what was going to happen. We got out of the wormhole, but we displaced the protostar, and we ended up causing Gwyn to have a timeline dysfunction. But she's okay now. So where we ended off with is the Infinity is back in our hands. Protostar lost. Timeline changed in ways we can't yet understand. And Gwyn is sick. That's what we got out of it. I kind of thought, when I ended off episode 2, that the Infinity was going into future Solum, and that was going to be the season. It was going to be the adventures of maj'el, Jankom, Dal, and Zero. And, Chakotay and Adric, probably. In the bad timeline future, trying to get out. And that was the season. But it ended up being just a one-off thing. This whole thing was wrapped up in 2 episodes. And we ended up... Our spoils for this adventure was Gwyn is sick and Chakotay gone. Chakotay gone, Gwyn sick. What's happening? We sprinkled in some mysteries with Murf and our mysterious benefactor, just to keep you subscribed, as they do. You gotta sprinkle in enough mystery. It's not enough anymore to just have an episode that completes itself, unless you're watching Strange New Worlds. And that's what we really got out of this. We went on a meandering, silly, contrived adventure that wrapped itself up really quick. And it was... anybody who has seen Star Trek could have predicted this causal loop. You could have seen it coming a mile away, a light year away, perhaps. And I saw it coming, and it wasn't really that spectacular. It was really cool seeing Chakotay and Adric. It was not that cool with the time travel stuff and going back in time. When I I thought it could have been done a little bit better. Like I said, it could have been less contrived. I don't think we needed Time Ghost Gwyn, just to be honest. But then again, all these episodes, they're all one big movie. When this is over, maybe this episode will make perfect sense, and I'll realize it had to work out that way. And I'll be eating crow. I'll be here all week. Except, not really. I'll be here, probably in a few days. That was Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 episodes 3 and 4, Who Saves the Saviors, and Temporal Mechanics 101. Musically, you can't go wrong with Prodigy. Do I have to keep bringing it up? The rousing score in the background, like I said, tugging at that same heartstring, but doing it good. Visually, some of the animation with the walking feels like it doesn't have the weight correctly. It feels like they're kind of gliding along the ground. I don't know. Voyager's still ugly, but thankfully we barely see it. Infinity is hideous. Protostar now, I'm learning to like it more and more and more by comparison. Chef's kiss on that still, but the nacelles are a little weird. It was cool seeing bad future Solum, and it was really cool being inside that kind of ornate tunnel that the Valera trial took place in. I like being there. So it's kind of a mixed bag in that regard. Plot-wise, it wraps itself up a little conveniently. It's a little bit contrived. And the adventure was smaller than I thought it was going to end up being on the Infinity. It was both smaller and kind of pointless. Did you want a longer adventure on the Infinity? Are we going to go back to the Infinity? Do you like the shorter one? It's more of a mixed bag than I'd like to admit. Thematically, I'm not sure what's going on here. It's a causal loop. We're saving the saviors. But what does that mean? What does that mean in the grand scale of things? We saved Chakotay and Adric. We realized that we had to anyway, so it's not like we had an option. And then we go back, we change the future to change the past by taking the ship back through the wormhole. No, we don't. We take the Infinity. We use the power from the wormhole to create a time machine to go back in time to interrupt Gwyn's failure of the Valera. And the Protostar goes back through the wormhole. I searched and searched the episode, and I searched and searched my heart. I'm not sure what the question that this episode was asking was. I'm not sure what the message was. I'm not sure what was at the top of the whiteboard in the writer's room. Like, what was it saying? I don't know what these episodes are about. Right? It just seems like we're treading water. It's a matter of course. We're just doing what we got to do. It's a small section of a bigger movie. And for me, that's not a great thing for Star Trek. So with all this out of the way, I'm going to have to go ahead and give this a 5. These 2 episodes together, that is. These episodes, by the way, the first 2 go together perfectly. These 2 go together perfectly, too. They fit together. We go in, we get out. Gwyn sick, Chakotay gone. What's Murf doing? There's a review in a nutshell for you. It's getting a 5. I'm sorry about that. That's just the way it is. I thought, actually, the first 2 episodes were a strong opener. Where it's more 3, but now it's more 3 steps forward. Like I said, 2 steps back. I don't know. We're riding the line. We still got a zillion episodes to go. So I'm not counting it out yet. Not by any means. This is Prodigy. And I'm a little biased towards it, and I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. But I'm just calling it how I see it. I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you when next time I see you. So long.